Hi guys, it's Josh Olfert here back with another video, and today we're talking about stimulus checks and why this free money you're receiving might not be as good as you imagined. Time to think like an investor. So what is stimulus and why do we have it in the first place? Well, let's do a little bit of a thought experiment. So come along with me while we walk through this. Let's imagine you're going through your life and you have bills to pay. You have all sorts of obligations. You have phone bills and you have your gym membership and maybe you have a car payment and obviously rent to pay. If there, for any reason, is less money coming in, this proves to be an issue. We all know that financial stress you feel when maybe there's gonna be a little too much month at the end of your money. When we find ourselves culturally in a position where a lot of people won't be able to make ends meet, we have a bit of an economic crisis on our hands. A great way to imagine this is if you don't have cash, you can't spend. If you cannot spend at your local store or for your car payment or for your rent, well, your landlord or your local business owner won't be able to pay their employees either. We all end up in a position where we're in a bit of a crunch. This is exactly where stimulus comes in. People like you and I and all sorts of people look around to our governments and our officials and ask, where's the help? Where can we find assistance for this crisis that we're going through? And stimulus, in this case, is their answer. The reason stimulus is effective is because it keeps cash moving. It creates the lifeblood of our economy. It prevents things from seizing up, like the oil in a vehicle when the engine is running. At the end of the day, what does all of this mean for us? Well, government policies have come into effect where if you have lost your job or if you were earning less than you were before, you're at risk financially because of this, you will be receiving stimulus money. In Canada, we're receiving about $2,000 per month. In the United States, it's about $1,200 per month. What does this mean for us? Well, it means that we're going to be receiving cash from the government, and making the right decision about what to do with this cash isn't as simple as you might see at the outset. The first thing to really understand is that this income is 100% taxable. Now, what that means in effect is that this income is going to be added to the tax burden that you're going to pay not this year, but next year. In the spring of 2021, most people are going to be in for a big surprise when they realize all that money they received and now spent is taxable. There will be taxes to pay that you had not saved and you were not prepared for. If you're self-employed, like myself, we're used to this situation where we have to save up each year for our tax burden. We have to put money away every month to make sure at tax time we can pay it all. But if you're employed day to day and you have an employer, they are deducting your taxes for you on a bi-weekly basis or on a monthly basis. So you are not in a position where you're used to having to save for these tax burdens at year end. This time, you're gonna have to. How do we counteract this? How do we put ourselves in a position where this isn't a painful event for us a year in the future? I've been in positions where I didn't necessarily understand the tax ramifications of what I was doing when I was starting my own business, and it created some very painful times for me when I came tax time and then spring, I had owed many multiples of what I had ever been prepared to owe before. So I want to help you avoid that problem altogether and avoid a lot of the problems that our clients see on a regular basis with taxation. The first thing you're going to want to do is understand how much this is going to add to your taxable income in this year. That's pretty simple. You just add up how much stimulus you received. You go back to when this whole thing started and add up the amount of those checks, how much income was there. The second step is going to be determining what is your average tax rate. Now, let me quickly take us on a journey about how taxes work very briefly. In North America, we have what's called a tiered or progressive tax system. And what this means is that the more income you make, the more taxes you pay. Finding out what your tax liability is going to be involves finding out your average tax rate. So in order to find out your total tax liability, we need to find out your marginal and your average tax rates. Once we've found those out, we can simply multiply it by the amount of money you received, and you'll have the exact amount of money you're going to owe next year. What I'm gonna do for you is I'm going to include links in the description below for you to go and find out, based on your state, your province, your country, what exactly your average tax rate is. And that's what you're trying to find out. You're trying to find out your average tax rate. Once you have these numbers, it's all simple. You just save or throughout the year, put away an equal amount to your tax liability. That's the first solution to this problem. It's very simple. You simply save the amount of money you're gonna need to pay at tax time, and the problem goes goodbye. This is where most people might say to me,
"Oh, Josh, I can't do that. It takes too much money. I can't save."
And this is where I say to you,
shut up, listen, learn.
Go into your credit card statement and look over the past 2 weeks and show me how much money you didn't need to spend that you spent on stupid things. This is the situation you're going to face at tax time. You cannot make the tax bill go away. So you're going to have to come up with this somehow. Now, for those of you who feel that you can actually save some of this money, it wasn't all spent, maybe it's all sitting in a checking account doing nothing, there is actually maybe a better option for you, which is to use what's called a tax-deductible investment account. For those of you who find yourself in a position where this money wasn't spent and you have it laying around, not doing much, sitting in a savings account or sitting in a checking account, there is an easier way to solve this problem, and actually a more beneficial way for your future, which is using a tax-deductible investment account. In Canada, we call this an RRSP. In the United States, it's called an IRA. What these accounts allow you to do is create a tax deduction when you put money into the account. For the sake of an example, let's say you earn $55,000 per year, and you put $5,000 into a tax-deductible investment account. You now are in a position where the government will tax you based on $50,000. Effectively, what this means is that you can completely negate the entire tax bill from your stimulus checks just by investing them in the correct place. One thing to know is that to access them later on, you're going to have to pay the taxes on withdrawal. But for now, it works as an immediate remedy for the tax bill you're likely to experience next year. If this situation sounds like you, where you haven't quite prepared for the tax ramifications of these stimulus checks, I highly recommend you look into one of these two strategies. Find out what kind of taxes you're gonna have to pay and start saving for that. Or you could use a tax-deductible investment account to offset that tax burden. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you can see more of these as they come out. Until next time.